What's up everybody, Adrian here, and welcome to my new channel, Addy's Aquatic Friends. Now my name is Adrian, but my close friends call me Addy, so therefore that's the channel. Now I started this channel brand new out of desperation. This is a fish keeping channel and other aquatic animals like frogs and crabs and stuff, because I got into the hobby just before the whole COVID thing hit, and then, you know, because you couldn't really leave your house, I got more into it and things were going great. All of a sudden, like a day ago, some freak accident happened to one of my fish tanks and I have no clue about what happened. And I started doing research online, looking at all the popular aquarium fish channels. So shout out to all you guys, especially MD Fish Tanks, because his channel was like the first to inspire me to get into this fish keeping like real serious. So things were going great. I'll show you here, look. So I hope you can see that I have a 20-gallon long and everything was going great. As you can see, it's empty because there's no more fish or plants. So I had this tank for over a year and it was fully planted, beautiful plants. I had fish, I had Serpa tetras, which are like those red fish with the black dots. I also had some cherry barbs that were bright red. Some were like a yellowish red. I had some snails. I had a heater. I didn't have a filter. Now I did buy a filter in case it got too bad with the algae. I did consistent water changes every 2 weeks and I didn't use tap water because my water's like really hard and I didn't want to mess with that dechlorinator because I wasn't sure at first. So I just used the, bottled water or gallons of water. And I also had Eco Complete. I did my research and that looked like the best substrate. But then when I bought it, it said it had like no nutrients in it. But all you had to do was just keep putting those root tabs and it worked. It was fine. I had pebbles on top. I even mixed in some aqua soil, some fluval aqua soil in with that Eco Complete just to give it some nutrients. All the plants were flourishing. The fish were doing great. Not one fish died. And the fish I got from PetSmart, because there's tons of them around my area. The local fish stores, which I actually want to support, they're like really far away. And then all of a sudden, I'm going to tell you exactly what happened. And maybe you can give me some advice or help or tips. Leave in the comments. I have no idea even to this moment what happened, what I did wrong. So I woke up that morning and I feed my fish at 10 in the morning, okay? So I had some freeze-dried shrimp. I'm not gonna say what brand, because I'm not blaming the brand. I'm being honest. Now when I bought the shrimp, they were kind of big for my tetra fish. So I would give them flakes, I'd give them freeze-dried bloodworms, which they went crazy over, they loved. I decided, okay, what am I gonna do with this freeze-dried shrimp? I don't wanna throw it away. I'm gonna grind it up in a blender or whatever those little, spice things are that you grind spices in. So when I put it in the spice grinder, I grind it up good. And then when I opened up the spice grinder, poof, literally like a puff of smoke came out. I'm not saying from the grind, from the dust of the freeze-dried shrimp. So I was like, that's kind of weird, but I didn't think much of it. So I went upstairs, it was time for feeding time, and it was like a feeding frenzy. That's the best part of fish keeping. Everybody can agree, feeding the fish and watching them go crazy. So I sprinkled in a normal amount, not too much, not too little. And they went crazy, they loved it, they were fighting over it. But then instantly I noticed that they got covered in that powder. And I was like, that's weird, because normally fish flakes, they get covered in it, but then they swim around and it doesn't stick to them. It actually stuck to them. But I was like, nah, can't be a big deal, like there's no problem. So I just went about my business. So then like a day went by and some of them were heavily covered in that dust, others were not. Some were like in between. But again, I'm like, that's weird. Why is it sticking to them? Like I thought in my brain, because every day I would look at them and I noticed that they were beautiful, bright red, healthy skin, healthy scales, no problems, no diseases. Now I didn't quarantine them, but I had them for over a year and not one died. I got worried because it wasn't coming off. I had one of those bubbly things, those air stones that would create lots of bubbles to give them air, but the plants were giving them a lot of oxygen too. But just in case, they would swim into the bubbles, all the way down against the bubbles and ride the wave up, as if they were like trying to rub off the dust, but it wouldn't come off. They were rubbing themselves against the plant leaves as if they were trying to rub off the dust. So I got nervous. So I went online and I searched what could be wrong with these fish? And then all of a sudden a picture of ick came up and it looked exactly like what my fish had. White spots all over the fins and the body, and some were more prominent than others, some were bigger white dots, some were just a sprinkling. But I said to myself, if they had ick doesn't just magically appear in one morning. From before I fed them, beautiful red, clear scale skin. Instant ick. That could not have been it. At least I don't think so. But the picture and what it looked like with that freeze-dried shrimp powder, it looked like dots covered in that, like white dots. So I got nervous. I'm like, oh no, it can't be ick. It just can't be. It would start over a long period of time. You would see maybe a dot, you wouldn't be sure what it is, and then more dots would appear, and then bigger dots. But like I said, in the morning, perfect skin. After I fed them, covered in spots. To get rid of ick, you gotta quarantine them. You had to buy ick medicine, buy a separate tank to put them in or a container. And you had to buy a heater that was adjustable to raise the temperature. Ick will die under hot temperatures. But I wasn't sure because I told you, ick doesn't just magically appear in an hour. Or maybe it does. Let me know in the comments because I'm still kind of new at this. But I want to get serious because I feel really sad. I'm devastated. All my fish are dead. Less than 2 days, all died. They died from ick that quick, or they died from that powder. Maybe that powder had little sharp crystals that got into their gills and it spiked them from within or cut them up. I don't know. And I got so scared because everything was contaminated. I got rid of all my plants. I got rid of the water. I had to bury my fish. And I feel bad because, some people are like, yeah, big deal. They're just 30-cent fish or $1 fish. Just get new ones. But I had these fish for over a year. The day before all this happened, I went to PetSmart, got a free water check. pH was great. Every water parameter was great. I had so many plants flourishing. They were eating the nitrates, nitrites. If there was algae, I would clean it a little bit. But then I looked up the symptoms for ick, and some of the symptoms were rubbing against plants as if rubbing against surfaces removed the ick. Some of the fish were at the bottom of the tank sluggish. Their fins were pinned back because I guess the spots were preventing their fins from opening up and swimming normally. Some were at the top of the tank. Mostly they were swimming around crazy, going to that bubble air stone and riding the bubbles up. And they were doing that non-stop. And when I would turn off the light at the end of the night, they were just chilling, relaxing. So I don't know what to do. The tank wasn't dirty. Well, maybe from the fish store, they came contaminated because, they have those open tanks that they share the water. I had these fish for over a year. And all of a sudden that morning they got massive ick. I was thinking, okay, I got this one plant recently, less than a week ago, one of those Hornworth plants, and it was doing great. That plant was inside one of the tanks at PetSmart, and there were snails in the tank, and there were maybe some little fish hiding in between all the plants. And I'm thinking maybe that one fish or the whole water might have been contaminated. And I never heard of quarantining plants. Maybe there is such thing of quarantining plants, but let me know in the comments if people do that, quarantine plants. But I just put it straight in the tank. Maybe some type of ick disease carried over into the leaves and that spread into my tank. Please, if anybody knows who's a fish keeper, if they know any ideas of what happened to my fish, and if I ever get fish again, I'm gonna learn how to quarantine them because I never want that to happen again. I understand in this fish keeping hobby, fish will die and you don't know why. And I'm really distraught because I don't know what to do. That's why I started this channel out of desperation because I need help. I need advice from the fish keeping community and the pros that really know what they're doing. I want to get serious about fish keeping. So that's basically my plea for help. So let me know in the comments what you think about what happened. And I'm sorry that the first ever video has to be so sad, but I promise there's going to be some cool content, more uplifting, happier content, because I do have some other fish and I do have a frog, and I'm planning on getting some other fish after I learn and research, and I'm going to quarantine them. But it's going to be a fun channel. So thanks for listening to my story. Please like and subscribe.